Okay, welcome back. And we're continuing on in the story in the book of Genesis. So Leah was happy, and she said, the daughters will call me blessed, and the name she called this son was Asher. Reuben went in the days of the wheat harvest and found apples in the field, and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Give me, I pray, unto these of thy sons May apples." And Leah said, "Isn't it a small matter that thou hast taken away my husband, and thou wilt take away my sons' May apples also?" And Rachel said, Therefore he shall lay with thee tonight for your sons' May apples. Okay, and Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him. Leah. And she said to him, "Thou must come into me tonight, for surely I have hired thee with my son's May apples." And he lay with her that night. Okay. And God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived another son, and bore him a fifth son. And Leah said, "God has given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband, and she shall call his name Issachar." Okay. And Leah conceived again, and bare Jacob a sixth son. And Leah said, "God hath endured with me a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons." And she called his name Zebulun. Now you see Leah's problem here, because she wasn't well favored. Jacob loved Rachel. You know what I mean? Leah's thinking that he doesn't feel that same way about her. But she's hoping to get that because she's the one that's giving him sons. Okay? But you know what I mean? And every time she has another son, she says different things. Like here she says, "God has endured with me a good dowry, and now my husband, Jacob, will dwell with me." You know what I mean? Because I've given him 6 sons. And she called this 6th son Zebulun. Okay? And afterwards she bare a daughter, and called her name Dinah. Remember Dinah? Okay. And God remembered, and then finally, our wonderful Father, he remembered Rachel. More so, the promise that he made to Abraham, and now the promise he made to Abraham and Isaac. He remembered Rachel, who couldn't have any children. And he allowed her to have 2 sons. The first one, and she said, God remembered Rachel. This is verse 22. God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her and opened her womb. And she conceived and bare a son, and said, "God hath taken away my reproach." And she called his name Joseph. Remember that name, Joseph. Okay, and this is not Jesus' dad, Joseph. That's 1,000 to 1,200 years from now. So it's not him. This is another Joseph. But this Joseph here. Woo! Okay. And look, the Lord added a second son, and added to me another son. And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said unto Laban, "Send me away, man, that I might go to my own place and to my own country." Now, hold on. Let me show you something here. While he's having all these sons, the years are passing. Now you understand why I laughed when I said, after he got the blessing, Esau's blessing, he said, "No," and Esau threatened to kill his brother, Jacob. And she said, "Go to my brother Laban's house and stay there until I call for you, until you can come back." Well, now here we 20 some odd years. He did 7 years first for Rachel, then another 7 years, that's 14 years right there for her again. And now, and some more years are passing. And while those years are passing, they're having children. He's having sons of the 12 tribes of Israel. And when it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said to Laban, "Man, send me away, that I may go in and dwell in my own place and have my own country. You know what I mean? Give me my wives and my children, for I have served thee, and let me go. For thou hast, thou knowest my servants, which I have done unto thee. And Laban said, Woo, I pray thee, if I have found favor in your eyes, tarry. For I have learned by experience that the Lord has blessed me for your sake. Woo! And he said, appoint me my wages. You tell me how much you want and I'll give it. And he said to him, Jacob said, thou know that I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. For it was little, you had small little amounts of things until I got here. And now it has increased to a multitude. The Lord has blessed you since my coming. And now when shall I provide for my own house? Okay. And he said, and again, Laban's like, well, what should I give you? Anything that he's trying to make him stay a little longer, because since, as I just read, of course, once Jacob got the Laban, because of Abraham's blessings, Isaac's blessings, now Jacob's blessing, everything of Laban's multiplied, quadrupled. He's got blessings coming and going. Okay, and he's like, no, you got to stay here, man. Just stay here a little longer. And Jacob was like, look, I'm ready to go, man, to start my own life and my own families and my own stuff. But man, just stay a little longer. He said, what should I give you? And Jacob said, okay, don't give me anything. If you'll do this one thing for me, I will again feed and keep thy flock. If you do one thing for me, I'll work for you a little bit longer. Okay. I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all of the brown cattle amongst the sheep, and the speckled and spotted amongst the goats, and of such shall be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come to pass for my hire before thy face. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted amongst the goats, and brown amongst the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. Okay, I'll explain this in a second. And Laban said, behold, I would. We'll do it according to your word. Okay. And that day, he removed the goats who were ring stacked and spotted, and all the goats that were speckled and spotted everywhere, every one of them that had some white in it, and all the brown amongst the sheep, and gave them into the hand of his sons. I'll explain all this in a second. And he sat there 3 days. 3 days journey between him and Jacob. And Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. And Jacob took the rods of green poplar of the hazel of the chestnut tree and peeled white streaks in them, and made the white appear which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had peeled before the flocks in the gutters, in the water troughs, when the flocks came to drink, they that should conceive when they came to drink. And Jacob did separate the lambs and set the faces of the flocks towards the ring stake, and all the brown of the flock of Laban, and he put his own flocks by themselves, and put them not into Laban's cattle. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in. So the feeble ones were Laban's, and the stronger ones was his, Jacob's. And the man increasing exceedingly, and had much cattle, and maid servants, and men servants, and camels, and asses. Basically what he did was, he came up with a little plan. We're going to take all the sheep, and the oxen, the goats, and all these different things, and I'm going to hook it up where you're going to have some really good sheep, and really good oxen, this and the other. And he painted them, basically, and did things to the water so that when they conceived, that certain colors would be, they would be spotted or brown or spots, whatever, blots on them or whatever. And he made all of his be the real original ones, real strong and cool. He kept them over here and gave Laban all the other ones that weren't all that good. Okay. All right, we're reading now from chapter 31. Laban's sons, they find out that Jacob's got some things going on, and he did the things with the cattle and the sheep and all the various things, and made them have their weird colors, or not weird colors, but the best ones he kind of put for himself, Jacob, and gave the ones that weren't so all that good to Laban, even though he colored them and made them seem like they were just the really good ones, but the real ones he took for himself. Anyway, Laban's sons finds out, and they're saying like, Jacob have taken away all that was our father's, and of that which our fathers have gotten in all of his glory, and all that he's gained and all that. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and Laban is now a little weird towards him. Laban is a little weird towards him now. Okay. And he wasn't friendly and wonderful with him as like that. Now he's got a bad vibe going on. You know what I mean? And the Lord said unto Jacob, return to your land, the land of your fathers, and to your kindred, and I will be with thee. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock. And he said unto them, I see your father's, his countenance is fallen. And he's not towards me, he's not friendly and cool the way he was in the past. Okay? But the God of my father had been with me. Okay? And you know that with all my power, I've served your father. I've served him. I've been here all these, and now we're talking 25 years now. Okay? And your father deceived me. He changed my wages 10 times. But God suffered him not to hurt me. If he says thus, the speckle shall be thy wages. If he says that your speckle shall be your wages, then all of the cattle bear speckle. And if he said thus, that the ring straight shall be your hire, then bear all the cattle ring straight. Okay. Thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father and given them all to me. Okay. And it came to pass at that time when the cattle was conceived. Here come the brand new cattle's coming up. And when I lifted up my eyes and saw, and I lifted up this is Jacob still talking to the daughters, his 2 wives, Rachel and her sister Leah. I saw in a dream, behold, the rams which leaped upon the cattle were ring straight, speckled, and grizzled. And the angel of the Lord spake unto me in the dream, saying, Jacob, and I said, here am I. And he said, lift up your eyes now and see all the rams which leaped upon the cattle. They are ring-streaked, speckled, and gristled. For I have seen all that Laban has done unto thee. I am the God of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar. Remember we had Jacob's the ladder, and he took the pillows that he laid on the rocks, and he made them a altar, and poured oil on them. Okay, he's saying that I am the God of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar, and where thou vowed unto me. Now arise and get thee out of this land and return unto the land of thy kindred. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, is there yet any portion of inheritance for us in our father's house? And we are not counted of him strangers, for he has sold us and have quite devoured also our money. So they're like, they're going against their dad, saying, we might as well leave here because he sold all of our stuff. What kind of inheritance do we have here with him? That's what they're saying, basically. For all the riches which God hath taken from our father, that is ours, and our children's. Now then, whoever God has said unto thee, let's do it. Okay. And Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Pandamaram, to go to Isaac, his father, in the land of Canaan, going back to Isaac now. Okay. And we're going to cut right here. Okay. All right.